моя ти писанко, дарунок милої, барвистих мрій чарівний світ. Моя дівчинонько, цвіте в душі моїй, моє кохання, як вишневий цвіт.
Good evening and welcome to Ukrainian Magazine. Tamara Denisenko and myself, Bill Cornello, welcome you to another fine evening of Ukrainian heritage cultural programming. We had the distinct pleasure to welcome our newest viewers out in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Thanks to Richard Shvereda and Michael Piankovich, our communities will now share the Ukrainian excitement of dance, folklore, and heritage broadcasting. Welcome, Pennsylvania.
Добрий вечір, Василю.
Добрий вечір, Тамара.
І добрий вечір, наші шановні глядачі. Вітаємо вас ще раз до 1 години української телевізійної програми «Український журнал». Найперше, так як Василь казав, ми щиро вітаємо наших нових глядачів у Delaware County, Пенсильванія. Завдяки нашому директору Ричарду Свериді і Михайлові П'янковичові ми маємо тепер нагоду показати нашу культуру тут у Рочестері для наших нових глядачів у Пенсильванії. І думаю, що в майбутньому ми побачимо їхню діяльність. Сьогодні на нашій програмі ми маємо декілька цікавих гостей. Будемо мати інтерв'ю з Христиною Гошовською, інтерв'ю з Андрієм Біликом і дещо про українську культуру, і, як завжди, українські співи і танці. Тому закликаємо вас провести цю годину спільно з нами і розвеселитися так, як ми.
That's right, Tamara. Ukrainian Magazine is a production of Ukrainian Cultural Media Services. It's a locally produced program here in Monroe County and now being shown in Pennsylvania. We have an exciting show for our viewers tonight. We're going to show you a little bit about the Ukrainian ceramic art form. We're going to have an interview with Mr. Bielik about the Mazeppa Foundation that we had interviewed in the Glens Bay Festival. We're going to also have an interview with Christine Hushovsky, who's going to be talking about the workshop that's coming up at the University of Rochester for Ukrainian teachers and also the public.
So we invite all of you to stay tuned, enjoy yourself, and spend this hour with us. And now, Vasilu?
And now, as usual, at this time, a word from our sponsor.
За найкращою, сумлінною і веселою українською услугою при направі аут всіх виробів звертайтесь до Павла Прокопенка, власника гаража Paul's Mobile Service при 1196 Portland Avenue. Телефон 266-8053.
We at the Paul W. Harris Funeral Home would like to take this opportunity to thank all the families in the Ukrainian community who have patronized us in the past 40 years. We have tried to earn your confidence with our personal and courteous pre-arrangement counseling and our dependable professional service. Please, we invite you to compare our facilities, service, and price with any other funeral home in the Rochester area. We hope you will consider the services of the Harris Funeral Home for pre-arrangement counseling or when the need arises.
Welcome to the Ukrainian Civic Center. We hope you will join us on Friday evenings for dinner. Every Friday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. we are serving our delicious fish fries, plus famous Ukrainian specialties such as holubchi, pirohev, or try our UCC Kozak platter, homemade borscht, and clam chowder, plus your favorite beverages. We also have complete takeout service. Join us soon, the Ukrainian Civic Center Fish Fry, every Friday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., 831 Joseph Avenue. Portions of Ukrainian Magazine are brought to you by the Ukrainian National Association, 460 UNA branches in 29 states and 7 Canadian provinces, the largest and oldest Ukrainian organization in America. The UNA publishes the Svoboda and the Ukrainian Weekly and maintains the Ukrainian resort Suzivka. Membership in the UNA is much more than an investment. It's belonging to the largest Ukrainian family in the world. The UNA, building today for the future.
Нам дуже приємно привітати нового спонсора нашої програми, а це Український народний союз. Ми дякуємо їм за їхню підтримку.
We thank the Ukrainian National Association for underwriting a portion of Ukrainian magazine.
Як ми повідомляли вас у попередніх програмах, минулого літа ми були на Верховині на фестивалі молоді, де ми мали нагоду провадити розмови із людьми, котрі віддано працюють над збереженням, розповсюдженням та представленням правильних даних про Україну серед нашого оточення. Сьогодні ми ще маємо такий один інтерв'ю із нашим бувшим рочестерцем Андрієм Біликом.
While at Verkhovina Youth Festival this past summer, Tamara had the privilege and opportunity to meet and interview Andrei Bilik from the Mazeppa Foundation in Washington, D.C. Andrei was very principal in restoring the monument that was put up about 20 years ago by Ukrainians in America and Canada. And it's been standing there. It's been neglected in the past, and through Andrei's Mazeppa Foundation, much effort went in to restore Taras Shevchenko monument.
It was a joint effort with Andrei Bilik and the Mazeppa Foundation. They sponsored a concert which raised funds to help restore the foundation. And
now the interview.
Very good.
Андрій, вітаємо тебе знову до нашої програми. Ти був минулого березня чи лютого на нашій програмі. Ти говорив про свою фундацію Mazeppa Foundation і вашу працю над відновленням Шевченкового пам'ятника у Вашингтоні. Чи ти можеш нам дещо сказати, в якій стадії тепер то є?
Дуже радо вам можу пояснити, що сталося і що ми далі продовжуємо, як ми далі продовжуємо цю справу. Перше, як всі знають, був величавий концерт для Шевченка в Вашингтоні. Там на концерті було 1500 людей, 90% з них було не українці, більше як 100 людей було з Capitol Hill, більше як 50 людей було з дипломатичного корпусу, було дуже багато науковців, людей з хорів всяких по Вашингтоні, так що ми мали добрий той. Далі ми сьогодні продовжуємо акцію, тому що люди не знають, що ми все кажемо Шевченко Парк, але це не є офіційна назва. Шевченко Парк не має офіційну назву. І ми маємо тут петицію до United States Secretary of Interior, щоб, власне, українці казали, як цей парк повинен називатися, щоб на мапах появилося або Шевченко Парк, або Шевченко Плаза, або як ми хочемо це кликати, щоб всі американці туди, не тільки в Вашингтоні, по цілій Америці, казали, в Вашингтоні є такий Шевченко Парк.
So you're saying that in Washington there's a Shevchenko monument, but nobody really knows about it because it's not on any of the maps?
Well, it's on our maps and it's on maps for monuments, but it does not have an official name. And Shevchenko standing there is a tool for us to utilize. And by the way, what I didn't say earlier, and I should have said, because of the concert and because of the contributions from people, we've been able to clean the Shevchenko twice this year. The first time was for a PR point of view, a week before the concert on March 3rd, then we had the concert on March 9th, then in June, for 3 weeks, the Park Service was out there every day waxing Shevchenko, cleaning him. They used coconut shells. It was a fine sand mixture. There was, in fact, just on this last Wednesday, I was out there. I passed by there maybe once, twice a week, and there was a couple, a middle-aged couple taking photographs. They were from Minneapolis. I always stop by, and the guy looks up at the statue, and he says he's cleaner now than he was 22 years ago. He's shining. He's absolutely waxed.
So what is the Mazeppa Foundation planning to do next?
Okay, we want to continue the program of heightening people's interest, Ukrainians and non-Ukrainians, in Taras Shevchenko. He's standing there. We need to... The Park Service is responsible for the maintenance, but the Mazeppa Foundation adopted the park for the purpose of the terrace, for example, needs to be replaced. The Park Service cannot replace that terrace. We have to come up with the money somehow to do that. And if you're talking about only $50,000 to replace something like this, that's not a lot of money when you think of you can get $1 million worth of PR out of it. For example, in every city, there's a Shevchenko Academia. Why not tie that Academia to the Shevchenko statue? You can get 200 news stories just like that every March 9th or 10th.
Well, we wish you lots of luck and with your work and hope to see you again at the next festival.
I'll be back. Thank you.
When traveling in the Washington, D.C. area, we encourage our viewers to stop in and see the restored Taras Shevchenko monument. And Tamara, what's next on our show?
А тепер ми будемо мати виступ Олексія Голуба із хором жіночим «Ясмін».
As promised last month, we showed you the Yasmin Girls Chorus out of Toronto. And again, as we'd like to show you another segment of the concert with them singing with Alex Holub.
And they really are an entertaining group. And now, Alex and Yasmin.
Згадалось мені далекій стороні про молодість мою і неньку в дорогу, як був ще малим, квіточки я збирав, матусі мої віночки я сплетав. Верніться до мене, літа молоді, матусі очі веселі, ясні. Верніться і дай розраду душі, верніться до мене, мої щастя дні. Пливли юні у щасті і любві, як зірки ясні в країні дороги. Минули літа, і молодість прийшла, а в серці осталась мрія золота. Верніться до мене, літа молоді, матусі очі веселі, ясні. Верніться і дайте розраду душі, верніться до мене, мої щастя дні. Верніться до мене, мої щастя дні.
It was a pleasure showing you Alex and the Yasmin Girls Choir from Toronto. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed taping it and showing it to you.
And I believe Alex is going to have a second record, so
That's right, Tamara.
we'll
And
keep
we'll
you posted.
keep everyone on schedule on that record.
Так. Сьогодні з нами маємо велику приємність привітати на нашій програмі Христину Гушовську, учительку історії у West Arundecoid High School, котра завдяки старанням нашої громади та урядової підтримки стейтового сенатора Джек Перрі очолює проєкт, який буде вчити наших місцевих учителів про Великий Голод. Ми щиро вітаємо тебе, Христю, до нашої програми.
Tonight we welcome a special guest to Ukrainian Magazine, Christine Hushovsky. Welcome. Christine is a social studies teacher who is in charge of a unique project that will culminate very soon at the University of Rochester. Christine, what will happen on March 12th, 13th, and 14th?
Well, we are running a project for teachers, a teacher's workshop, which is entitled Ukrainian Studies. The project will really cover 3 different aspects of Ukrainian culture and study. First day, we plan to go into the history of Ukraine, covering, from the very earliest of time up through the period of the post-World War II period, the Helsinki Accords and materials such as that. On the second day, we plan to specifically focus on the forced famine in Ukraine and do that in considerable detail and cover the film Harvest of Despair. On the third day, we plan to actually run a curriculum workshop for the teachers and hope to develop some lesson plans that can be used directly in the classroom by teachers.
What do you hope to achieve by these workshops?
Well, of course, these workshops are being run in conjunction with the Volume 3 of the Human Rights Series curriculum guide that has been put out by the State Education Department. And what we're hoping to do is inform teachers of the entire famine situation and the issue of nationalism in Ukraine, so that teachers can more effectively teach this material when they cover the unit on the Soviet Union, which is part of the Eastern European studies material.
Christine, is this forum open to the public or by special invitation?
It is specifically designed for teachers, and we are certainly focusing on those whose knowledge of Ukraine is not as specific as that of other people. However, any of the sessions are open to anyone in the community. In addition to which, on Thursday evening, we are running a special program for the community, and this program will be at West Irondequoit High School in the large group instruction center, probably between 7 and 9 o'clock in the evening. So we do want to attract the community to this event.
Who will be the speakers?
Our speakers, we have invited Dr. Taras Hunchak from Rutgers University, Dr. James Mace from the Famine Commission. We have also invited Christine Izayu, who has worked most recently with the Helsinki Accords and the human rights problems in Ukraine. And then we also have Leonid Heditz, who will talk about the survivors of the famine project that they did at Harvard University. In addition to that, we have invited people from the State Education Department to do a presentation and work with us in the curriculum lesson plan writing section.
Mm-hmm. Who else was involved in preparation of this workshop?
We've had considerable support. Of course, we've had support from Senator Perry, who went to great extents to get us the grant. Then we have worked with Dean Hinchke from the University of Rochester. We've talked with Dr. Sproul, Superintendent of Schools at West Irondequoit High School. Then I have worked more specifically with Dr. Lowell, who is in the Education Department at the University of Rochester. He's worked on the program committee, and Vida Makohon, and I have worked in the program. And
how do you plan to get the word out to the public about these workshops and to the teachers?
We have a number of flyers that are now being mailed presently within the next couple of days. Will be mailed to a number of teachers, social studies teachers in the Rochester community, Rochester area. Then we plan to have press releases in the paper, and I hope to do some contacting of people through the Rochester Area Council for the Social Studies. So we are working diligently.
For a large turnout.
We certainly are. We hope to have at least 65 participants at the workshop itself, and then if people come from the community, we will be more than happy to have them there.
Well, Christine, we'd like to extend a lot of luck for you and your planning on the workshop. I hope it is a good turnout, and want to thank you for being on Ukrainian Magazine and sharing this information with our viewers.
It was my pleasure.
Ми щиро тобі дякуємо, бажаємо багато успіхів у твоїй праці, як у школі, так і в цім проєкті.
And right now, a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Українська кредитова спілка – це своєрідна і виїмкова фінансова установа, яка є зорганізована, проваджена і контрольована своїми членами.
базою якою є братські союзи, Український народний союз та Український братський союз. Українська кредитова спілка завжди давала найкращі услуги і користі своїм членам, а тепер дає вищі дивіденди на ощадностях та уділяє різні позички на вигідних умовах, яких надають інші фінансові установи. Тому зайдіть до Української кредитової спілки при 831 Джозеф Евеню або дзвоніть на телефон 544-9518. Години урядування є вівторок, середа, четвер від 10 до 3 пополудні, п'ятниця від 2 до 8 і субота від 9:30 до 1.
Vacation, try the Surf and Dunes in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a true family resort. Spacious rooms overlook the ocean, 2 oceanfront pools, both heated and one enclosed to ensure year-round enjoyment. We also have an indoor whirlpool, free tennis and golf privileges. Set sail for the right place. Surf and Dunes Resort, 2201 South Ocean Boulevard, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. For information, call toll-free 1-800-845-2109. The right place, Surf and Dunes. Ridge Coin and Stamp Exchange, located at 2064 East Ridge Road, corner of Culver, is the area's leading buyers and sellers of rare coins, stamps, and precious metals. Ridge Coin and Stamps carries Krugerrands, maple leafs, and silver bars. All purchases and appraisals are confidential. We provide complete investment counseling services and carry gold jewelry. Ridge Coin and Stamps, 2064 East Ridge Road, corner of Culver, open through Friday 10 until 5, Saturdays by appointment. Call 342-8206.
Just a quick note to remind you to thank our sponsors for them supporting our Ukrainian Magazine TV show. Tell them how you appreciate it and continue supporting them. And tomorrow we're coming up to another fine segment on our show, and that features Ukrainian dancing.
А тепер будемо мати знову один виступ танцювального ансамблю з Англії «Чупляка». Ви побачите делікатний танець у виконанні дівчат, який називається «Рукодільниця».
And now the Chuplak dancers from Nottingham, England.
Пригадуємо батькам наших молодих глядачів, якщо ви хочете, щоб і ваші діти пізнали красу українського танцювального мистецтва та провели час в українському оточенні, запишіть ваших дітей до місцевих танцювальних ансамблів, до пластового ансамблю «Євшан», при Сумі «Дунай» та й для старшої молоді «Черемош».
The Chuplak dancers were phenomenal performers when they were here. They visited the U.S. and Canada. And we should keep in mind that if we have children and who are interested in dancing, sign them up to the various Ukrainian dance groups that are throughout the New York and Pennsylvania area.
А тепер ми переходимо до наступної точки нашої програми. Наша громада має багато талановитих людей, чи то в музиці, чи в малярстві, чи в народному мистецтві. Сьогодні представляємо ще одну мисткиню народного мистецтва, а це нашу паню Ізабеллу Омецінську. По професії вона бібліотекарка і вчить в місцевій школі. Вона рівно ж вчить в рідній школі культуру. Вона має дуже багато цікавих українських видів українського мистецтва, а особливо показала нашому Василеві і Ричарду Свириді свою збірку кераміки.
Ukrainian Magazine had the opportunity to visit Mrs. Omachinsky at her house, at her residence, where she displayed a fantastic collection of Ukrainian art form ceramics. Her collections go back to the prehistoric Ukrainian times, and she also has a lot of Hutsul-style motif art. And what we're about to see is that collection and that interview that took place with Mrs. Izabela Omachinska.
And I know Richard and Vasil learned a lot and had a very enjoyable evening spending.
And we hope our viewers learn a little bit tonight with this segment.
And we'll have also an enjoyable evening.
Isabella, welcome to Ukrainian Magazine, and thank you for being with us tonight to share some Ukrainian ceramic art form work.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you were able to stop at my house and you're interested in my ceramics, what I'm doing. I am, as I told you over the phone, I am not very professional, but as a hobby, I pursue this kind of arts and crafts.
The first impression of viewing your ceramics is just stunning, and it's very impressive that to see Ukrainian artwork at its finest. Could you tell us a little bit how you got started in Ukrainian ceramics?
Oh, it was very simple. I had a very good friend of mine, Mrs. Yaroslava Stechiv, who introduced me to this kind of work just by inviting me and another friend to her house and showing us the procedure how to go about. And from then on, I just sank into the ceramic creation. I just love it. It's very relaxing.
So you're saying you learned over the years, really?
Over the years.
And how long have you been doing this?
Oh, close to 15 years, I would say now.
15 years.
Yeah. In between, working full time.
Isabella, looking at your art forms, there is definitely a different style of lines, of motifs. Could you explain a little bit some of the differences?
Now, I was introduced to the so-called Tripilian ceramics, which is, as everybody who is studying Ukrainian culture goes way back to Neolithic times, which dates around 2,500 to 2,000 years before Christ BC. And it's called Malovana Keramika because before that the ceramics were very plain and usually they were some kind of tool was used to make design, but colors
and kind of dull.
Gray.
Yeah.
And very dull. Later on, they developed a new style of decorating clay with clayware, with especially with black and reddish colors, which is a solution of some kind of coloring mixed with clay, and firing. Firing at that time, as we know, wasn't done in kilns as we do now. It was done in earth holes. And how did we find out that it was Tripillian ceramic? I should mention that in 1893, Mr. Vojko, one of our archaeologists, discovered southeast of Kiev place where he found pieces of this kind of ceramic. And later on, he discovered whole settlements which produced more artifacts of that nature. Because it was found around the area of Tripillia, which is like a small village southeast of Kiev, from that name, the Tripillian ceramics.
And just recently in the Newsweek, there was a special article about Ukrainian arts and also...
Yes, it referred also to, as a matter of fact, I have that issue right here. I think it's dated November 10th, 1986.
The Way We Were.
The Way We Were. And it shows how our people at that time, Neolithic age, as I said, 2,500 to 2,000, lived. It shows how they built their homes from the bones of mammoth and the production of different artifacts in stone and other utensils that they needed. I'm sorry I don't see any of Tripillian mentioning it.
From this Tripillian artwork, what other forms evolved throughout the many, many thousands of years?
Throughout the many thousands, this was the first one, real development of Ukrainian ceramics. Then came princely or Kiev and Rus times, 10th through 13th century, where ceramics flourished too. But you don't forget that between Neolithic time and our princely area, we went through bronze area and iron area. And also we had visitors from Syria called Scythians, who were much into gold and silver production. So maybe ceramics went a little bit behind. But the best development of ceramics really takes place in 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. And then we discover three different trends in decorating ceramics. Volhynia, Podylia areas, and Zakarpattia sticks with geometrical figures. Then area around Kiev, Poltava, they lean more toward flowers and vegetation designs. And Huzulia, which I have also samples here, later on you'll see, mixes both geometric design with the floral or vegetation design. Adding also animal pictures on. That doesn't mean that Tripillian culture didn't continue to develop, probably, but as I said, discoveries were made when in 1893 by Vojko. So maybe there was a period of time that it was at a standstill. I really couldn't tell you right now.
When looking at the Hotsul motifs and comparing them to the others, they seem a lot more colorful.
Yes. As I mentioned before, Tripillian limited itself to these three basic colors. In Hutsulian, the most predominant colors are green and that reddish color, and also yellow. If you we cannot say, for instance, I'm painting something now, and if I paint just yellow and green, that it has to be Hutsulian, because I'm not Hutsul, and I'm not doing, I could copy it, I could a little improvise or change designs, but it wouldn't be, my ceramic cannot be called Hutsulian, because I'm not Hutsul and I'm not living right there.
One more question, Isabella, and that is, do you exhibit your fine artwork?
Very little. I didn't have time. I was invited to two festivals at co-host near Albany and Watervliet, and it was successful. I displayed all this. Oh boy, what did you bring? So everybody was amazed, and people really like it. Ukrainian ceramics, not only Ukrainian, but other people, Americans too.
Who's your biggest helper?
My biggest helper is my husband, naturally. And to a degree, he prompted me to get to become more serious about it after, I don't know if I should mention it, after he became ill and he needed some kind of occupation. So inspiration, not only that, but so he started to help me with certain things.
I also noticed, Isabella, that you have a segment of plates and forms of poppy flowers.
Oh, that
konopli, as they say.
Konopli. I love maki. It's this poppy. As a matter of fact, as you see on the mantle, I have a trillium vase filled with artificial. They are so lovely. It's a shame that they last such a short time, so I decided to transplant them on my ceramics, so to have them constantly around me. And it seems that it has taken with people. They just love poppy seed design to see on ceramics. So I just follow.
In concluding now, I think we're running shortly of time, and that's
right.
Always in essence. You complimented your husband Zenon for being your primary helper.
Right.
I also noticed you have an assistant to Zenon's help, and that is this beautiful figurine here that was homemade by you, I believe, who also was instrumental in making many of these ceramics.
Yes, this is
What's her name?
Great Marichka.
Marichka.
She is helping me quite a bit. Every time I looked at her, I said, oh, it's a time to do a plate in Hutsul design. And she needs a little bit fixing on top of her. But this is basic, the costume that Hutsul girls or women are wearing with postolans on their feet. And she looks very modern with red lips and so on, but it doesn't make a difference.
Mrs. Isabella Omachinsky, Mr. Zenon Omachinsky, we want to thank you very much on behalf of Ukrainian Magazine for being on our show, for sharing with us the Ukrainian art form of ceramics.
Thank you very much for stopping by, and I'm glad I could do it. Stop anytime.
Good luck in the future, and make many more beautiful works of art.
Thank you.
Rochester's own Melody Night Orchestra presents Records and Tapes.
Give the gift of music. Melody Night Volume 1 contains such favorites as Цыганочко, На Miami, По дорозі, Била мене мати, Мої ясени, Hey Ha, and Hore Hore. Melody Night 2 has such hits as Карпати, Карпати, Як я їхав, По садочку, Весільня пісня, Рушничок, Ой чорна яси чорна, Летять качки. Melody Night 3 features Два кольори, За лісочком, Чотири рожі, Ой Марішко, Ганю моя Ганю, Мудрий Соломон. Of course, there's Melody Night Volume 4 with hits like Ой ти козаче, Чи справді, Бодайся когут, Рушив поїзд, Червона калина, Ой у лісі два дуби, and last but not least, Kolomeka. You can hear these songs and many, many more on Melody Night's 4 albums. Order your records or tapes today. Send $4.95 each or $18.95 for all 4 to Melody Night, P.O. Box
month, we presented a tribute to January 22nd, Ukrainian Independence Day, where 69 years ago, Ukrainians lived through a brief period of sovereignty and independence. Ukrainians every year commemorate this day and hold prayer services. Locally, on February 1st, St. Nikolai's Ukrainian Orthodox Parish held such a service, excerpts from which we would like to show you tonight.
Кинете вас єну, так кажу вам, от кого бійтеся. А й кажу вам, усякого, хто признає мене перед людьми, і син людський признає того перед ангелами Божими. А хто відречеться від мене перед людьми, то відречений буде перед ангелами Божими. І всякому, хто скаже слово на Сина Людського, проститься, а хто скаже зневагу на Духа Святого, тому не проститься. І коли приведуть вас в сенаті, Боги та до начальства і до правителів, не турбуйтесь, як і що відповідати, або що казати, бо Дух Святий навчить вас у той час, що треба казати. Слава тобі,
Кінчається наша програма. Ще раз вітаємо наших найновіших глядачів з околиці Філадельфії. Віримо, що наші громади стали на добру дорогу співпраці та обміню думок та про події наших поодиноких громад. Запрошуємо всіх вас завітати до нашої програми наступного місяця.
This concludes another exciting evening of Ukrainian American broadcasting here in Rochester, New York and Pennsylvania. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast tonight and remind you to stay tuned next month, March 29th, for another evening of Ukrainian American culture.
Next month we'll have on our program excerpts from how to make a bandura, and also a special segment on Ukrainian ex-libris bookmarkers from the artists from Ukraine during the 1960s.
This is Vasily Kornilov and Tamara Denisenko wishing you a good night and God bless, and we'll see you next month.
Це Тамара Денисенко і Василь Корнилов. Бажають вам всього найкращого, доброго здоров'я і на добраніч.